what you say, your tongue is lethal. You attract what you say, let's get it, people. Made it to the championship, ring finger got the chip, don't trip, Come take a sip with the winners. Come take a sip with the winners. Made it to the championship, ring finger got the chip, don't trip, Come take a sip with the winners. Come take a sip with the winners.
Welcome to another episode of the Bravo Podcast. You've got your hosts here, myself, Chris, and Sean.
Hi.
Hello. Chris is extra excited today. I don't know why.
I've been tired.
The
last two of these that we did, I was gassed. I don't know if you can see it on the film, but I'm like, you asked me something, I'm like, I don't know, man.
You look fresh today, buddy.
Yeah. You know, good weekend, I guess. I don't know.
He slept all weekend. That's what happened.
Yeah. Not Saturday, but yeah, other than that.
You know what? I'm kind of tired today, but I was like, do we really want to do this? But you know what? There's a system and a process. We got to do it. So it's like, what's that saying? You're tired, do it tired.
That's it, man.
Yeah.
I did
do it anyways.
Do it anyways. So what's going on? How was the real estate life over the weekend?
Mine was good. It actually goes to something I've had agents asking me about. Like, they're coming up and they're asking me how the market is, you know, which is clients are obviously asking you. And then, but I find every realtor's having a different experience right now. So for myself, I've found that good product is still moving pretty well, right? So from my experience, is mine really quiet? Am I doing okay?
No, I think you're fine.
Did you see us? You're listening?
Yeah.
Wow.
So that one, like, you know, I've got people who are freaking out that their houses are up for like a couple months and everything like that. And at the end of the day, if you are getting good photography, good advertising, actual advertising, like I spent a lot of money to advertise this house. We went CS in 3 days.
Okay, so define in your definition good advertising. I think that's important to know.
For one, like just think about where people go, right? So the photos and everything like that is mostly for the MLS system and realtor.ca. That is where most serious people are going to look. So you need to pop. My sellers, I was very fortunate, were very understanding that the house had to look amazing.
Yeah.
They just had their 1-year-old's birthday 3 days before we took photos, and the house was spotless. Like it looked incredible. Then from there, the next place that I'm thinking people are going is going to be Facebook and Instagram, places like these. So I actually paid a decent amount of money to be advertising on there. Now, the buyer didn't come from that, but I had probably 15 leads come in on that advertising alone. Now, the funny part is I ordered postcards for this as well, just listed postcards. They haven't gone out yet. So we went see us before they went out, but they're still going to go out. And then if I get calls on that, it's like, hey, this house is already sold, right? So I still think that's good advertising in a sense. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's going to sell right away per se.
So go back to I saw your social media ad, the reel, sorry. Yeah. When you say ad, you boosted the post or what did you do there?
So I had multiple. So I had the reel was just on mine.
Yeah.
That's just kind of, you know, some engagement. But then I did like an actual targeted meta ad where you can kind of pick the area that it's going to. Now, personally, I still do it in the area that it is selling.
Yeah.
I find not too many people are moving like, you know, I live all the way north and I'm going to move all the way south. That's not actually super common. A lot of times people still stay in a vicinity.
Yeah.
So I targeted that area. Like I said, the buyer didn't ultimately come from there.
Yeah.
But it was that extra exposure that I think every listing deserves.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, the price is going to be the main factor. We didn't sell it at the price that it was at, but it was attractive enough
to draw people in.
To draw people in, because the house that they had bought, it was the same thing. We didn't buy it at the price, but it was a nice enough property that it was like, let's have that conversation.
It was a detached home, yeah?
Yep.
Yeah. Laned home? I think I saw.
Yeah.
It just goes to show that it doesn't really matter. You got your postcards. You had a process.
Yeah.
And you have a checklist and a process. And basically, when I see you do what you do, it's you give everybody the same service.
Yeah, 100%.
Whether they're a friend, a family member, or just a new client, you give everyone the same service, which is the key because a lot of people will either raise the bar or lower the bar depending on the client. But you had a process and a system, so you did the postcard thing. Well, you know, it's good. You see us before
Yeah, I'm
those
fine with
postcards
that.
were ready,
I'm
but
fine.
you have a process, and sometimes it's the effort that goes into the process,
Mhm.
and the universe just answers. You put in the work, the universe answers.
Honestly, I feel like that is a huge part of it. If you go into a listing like ho hum, like this one's not going to sell, one, maybe you didn't prep the client in the beginning, right? Because that is a huge part too. A lot of the questions that we get, it's what conversation did you have to begin with?
Yeah.
Because if you're already $100,000 over where you should be, it's pretty hard to save that. Like, it's
Yeah, you educated them, you prepped them, you set the expectations. If they had a birthday party 3 days before,
Yeah.
They got the place ready. So you guys were all on the same page, speaking the same language, and it was smooth.
Yeah.
And that's why you had a smooth.
I'm also very fortunate. They have amazing taste. Like, it's one of those houses. Do you ever go to a house and you're like, this is staged?
Yeah.
I think that their house is kind of like that. Like, I was looking at the pictures and like, man, that looks like a stage house, but they just have that good a taste. So I was like, that's going to help.
So you got lucky there
Yeah,
too.
that part was very fortunate.
But you know what? With proper preparation and setting expectations right, you can
Yeah.
get any property ready the way it needs to be. It's interesting because you had an open house that same weekend too.
Mhm.
That open house was pretty bumping, I hear.
Yeah. I think they said that there was over 6 different groups came through, which, like, I don't know how much people know about open houses. That's pretty solid. I've sat.
Yeah,
by
your
myself.
average is probably about 3 to 4
Yeah.
on a good open house, maybe 5. So yeah, I mean 6 is by any measure.
Yeah, the offer came in, I think, an hour or two after the open house finished. It's funny. I was telling him, so he had bought a house. He bought that house 3 or 4 years before that. And I was dealing with the offer while I was at a restaurant for that one too. And I was at a restaurant for this one. So it's, in real estate, you always got to be ready to go, right? It's sometimes you got to be willing to, like,
Make plans and then you'll
or
go on vacation
Yeah.
and you'll get real busy.
I actually
How it
had the
goes.
last one I did, Arshad had to help me because I was
You
not
were away.
only on vacation, but the service was just atrocious.
Yeah.
So that was a double guarantee.
So you said something that I think you could probably unpack a little more. I'm asking, obviously, because I think it's important for the viewers to know, but also I'm having the opposite experience where, man, I can't buy a showing. And it is, and systematically, like systems and processes, same thing. You follow the same process, and yeah, I don't know. I cannot, like, it's priced well. You do the market research. I can't pay
Is there
for a
just like
showing.
a lot of?
I mean,
actives in
one of
there?
them has been on the market, which is kind of the thing I want to unpack. It's been on the market for a while, and so that's part of it. The other one actually is a new listing that I have, and similarly, I get my client. It looks like a pottery barn when you walk in there. It's so beautiful. I mean, and and they're beautiful units. If you look at the history of the complex, typically speaking, homes the units in there are selling fast. But yeah, to no avail. We've got one showing, which is unfortunate. And again, it's not a, and so part of my process is I send a weekly update every Monday. We look at the stats online. How is it performing? How are we doing with any showings? What's going on in the market? How many solds? Any new listings? So we're watching actively. Another thing I've started to do too, especially in this market, is call other agents who are listed. And just kind of see, hey, are we a one-off? Like, everybody's getting showings and we're not. And it turns out in that specific complex, nobody is getting showings. So it's not my only fear is somebody comes in there and now they got to sell. They drop it by like some obscene amount and force everybody else to then lower their price. And so that's kind of my concern. But it goes back to what you're saying. So what happens, or what do you guys do when there's so I just went through this with a client who were pricing homes. There was a unit, another listing coming up in Airdrie. There was a unit, it listed at 550. And if you look at the data, it was on the market for 164 days. So that's a long time. When they were listed at 550, you could make the argument that was good market value at that time. But then obviously people come on lower, they sell. So then, then it looks like, wow, who would price it there? But relatively at the time, it was good. So how do you manage that without doing a bunch of price reductions? Or is that the only thing you can do?
So sorry, just so I'm clear, was 550 the end point, or did they start
550 is their initial starting point.
Yeah.
And let's say that was, I don't know, 6 months ago.
Okay.
And let's say that price 6 months ago was relevant to the market. It was decent market value, but obviously things have steadily come down. And so now, I mean, they've priced accordingly, but from the optics point of view, same thing, right? So now it looks like you're sitting here today, you're like, wow, they were so overpriced by like $100,000, but not actually. Now they are maybe.
Yeah.
But at the time they're not. So how do you?
So I guess that's part of that's a conversation that you have during. I would have to know like what were the actives looking like at the time.
Yeah.
Because the other thing is like, even if like this sounds like it's row housing or what
It's rural housing. And I mean, for this one, I'm thinking it was like, 550 marginally high, but it wasn't like now if 550, you're out by like 50.
Was it a condo?
Townhome.
Condo fees?
No freehold townhome. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. It sounds like to me where at the end of the day, it's all about setting the right price, and price is king.
Yeah.
And what that means is if you are in the market we are in today, and you said it was 164 days?
Yeah, I think it sold after 164 days.
Okay. So what had happened, and eventually what did it sell for?
Oh, I could pull it up. Producer.
So while you pull that up, my assumption is going to be this. They listed it at what they thought was market value, but the market was shifting. 164 days ago, market was shifting, so we're starting to go to a balanced market. When that happens, you need to be priced a little more aggressive. And what it sounds like to me is that they didn't keep up with the pace of what the market was doing. So by the time they got on the market, it might have been priced accurately or at market, but they weren't aggressive enough. They need to be just below market to get ahead of it. So what they ended up doing was chase the market down.
So just to add on to that, the way that I kind of view listings too is you have like the houses that are selling and then the active houses that are helping me sell my house.
Absolutely.
So we had the same thing. There was one listed in our community at the exact same price we were, but they'd been up for 100 something days and the condition wasn't quite as well. So I'm like, if we go in at the same price as them, let's just say this buyer that we're making up goes to view both. They're going to be like, wow, what a deal.
Yeah.
This one at the
100%.
exact same price. So if you're slightly above, especially in a row, because a lot of them are going to be very similar, right?
Yeah.
The next guy comes in at 549. That guy's eliminated almost immediately.
Well, yeah. So, I'm looking at it right now. So they listed July of last year. So almost a year ago.
That's when the markets began to turn.
Yeah, right. And so they listed at 549.
This is raunchy.
And they sold at 475
Ouch.
at the end of November.
So we're talking a 75K.
So from an optics point
Price
of view, I'm
difference.
sure 549 in the summer was fine. But the longer you go, again, it goes back to what you're saying. It's why you want to price it well. Price is king for sure. But again,
so here's something else that I'm seeing on this right now, though. The reductions that they did for this particular listing are not large enough to catch up. You can see them playing catch up.
Yeah.
And then when they finally do a big one, they get an offer.
still like
Still
2 months
took a
later
while,
though.
But
What were the price reductions? What was the first price reduction?
10K, 30K, and then they waited 2 more months and then sold.
So the 30K, it got enough eyeballs and somebody in it eventually. So the price difference, what was it at when they did that final price reduction?
It was at $499.9.
$499.9. So that's the bracket it should have been in at the beginning.
At the beginning, yeah.
Gone are the days where a 510K price reduction is good enough.
It doesn't do anything.
It doesn't do anything. If you're listed at 550 and then all of a sudden you lower your price to 540, well, guess what? That price drop, it didn't do anything to trigger somebody to put to go look at it for one or put an offer.
Yeah.
Because if they at 550, they were going to look at it, they would have put an offer. 540 is not much of a difference for that to trigger them to go do that.
Yeah.
It needs to be significant enough. So at 550, my next price drop would have been 525.
Yeah.
And then after that to 499, or I would have just started at 499 because it, when you're below 500, you've got a whole set of different buyer pool.
Yeah. But also just being stale is a huge thing.
Yeah, that it doesn't help, right? And I think for this specific area that I'm looking at, like $499, there was another one, same unit. They listed at 509, so slightly high. I think that was a miss in my opinion, and then dropped 10K to 499, and then sold for 485. I think
but they ended up doing better, because it was less time on the market.
Yeah,
because the longer the time on the market, the more stale it becomes, and it loses that traction.
Yeah,
the first 2 weeks we all know is the most important time on the market.
Yeah.
Your first 2 weeks is the most amount of eyeballs, and the reason why you do price reductions is to restart that process.
So and so I'm just asking because I think these are important questions. But what if it's not truly like in the case of the other listing that I have? So it's not a price, because if you were to pull it up and you looked at the landscape of all the townhomes for sale, like not just where we are, but where everybody is relevant to one another and the market and for what they're offering, I think everybody's priced right around where they should be, us included.
Yeah.
So nothing is moving. We had one, and it was a $730,000 townhome.
Wow.
In a Southwest community. It went pending in 3 days or 4 days, and then went back on the market.
Oof.
That agent said they're getting decent showings, but just location because it backs onto like a main highway. So I think the noise is deterring some people. But in any case, in that market, I really don't believe it's a pricing thing. I don't think the issue is we're overpriced. And
that's going to come down to like a buyer pool though too, because there is just a realistic line of you're going to be on the market this many days.
Yeah. But it's still odd because
what's our average days on market right now?
Yeah.
45 days?
I can check in there. Yeah.
Give or take, where most people are used to a week or two, but it's 45 days and that's a normal market. The other thing is too, is you have to look at it as it could be the right price, could be the right neighborhood, could be everything could be perfect. The challenge we're having right now, there's a lot of choice out there still.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially in the road housing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of choice. So when there's a lot of choice, people don't have as much urgency.
Yeah.
Right now, we've got a specific buyer pool out there. There is no sense of urgency. And it's kind of like, okay, if it's not the one, then there's always going to be others.
Yeah. Yeah.
So people are picky. They're super price sensitive right now and they're picky.
So
they want what they want.
One more thing to go off of here. So this is a row townhouse and you said it's 730. So here's a question for you. What is your first thought when you hear row townhouse at $730,000?
I could get myself a nice detached property for that price.
I was hoping you'd say that because that's exactly what my thought process is. And so then it becomes a matter of just what's the product like at that price. I would much rather just have a detached. Never mind if I see detached is moving and row houses aren't. That means if I need to sell this thing in the future, how am I not going to be in the same scenario potentially?
There's one at 810, you guys. That's nuts. Okay, so for the solds, the average days on market, I'm just looking here, is 37 days. So again, we're not out to lunch. We're right where we should be. These particular ones, like if you go back, people pay. Yeah, look, there's one that sold for $720, 1 day on market in March. So these units, like they're moving for that much, which is
And you're priced right around there?
No, we're a different product. We're at like 5.
Oh, you're in a different community. And everything.
Same community, same complex, but there's such like those ones for 700. Those are like walkout bungalows, like really beautiful. And not that these ones aren't, but then. There's a whole different array.
It's just different caliber.
There's just and so I have a 3-story townhome, those, right? Beautiful. Like these are probably some of the nicest finished ones. And they seem like good quality finishes. But yeah, like, there's one. We are.
When was this built?
2020. Wait, I'll tell you. 2019.
So depending on the area you're into, you might be competing with people that are putting up new ones.
No, not here.
Where this one is?
So in Airdrie, that'll be the scenario. So when I'm doing my market valuations, I'm looking at what the builders are doing too, to make sure, because obviously, again, a buyer comes in, there's lots of choice. Like we're already saying, if we're priced right where a new build is, what's the incentive to buy? Unless you need a quick possession. Mm-hmm. What is the incentive to buy something secondhand when you can get it for the same price, right? Yeah. So.
Yeah, it comes down to value.
Yeah.
It comes down to value. And the pinnacle of real estate would be detached. And if you're not quite there, then you maybe settle for a duplex or semi-detached or row housing and then apartment. So it's like a pecking order.
Yeah.
And some people might be lifestyle choice. Maybe they want less maintenance and they want to go for townhouse or whatnot. But generally speaking, it's a stepping stone. Your apartments, then you level up to road.
Maybe a
housing
or
semi-detached, and then you level up to detached, and then that's like the pinnacle, right?
Yeah.
So it's got that pecking order, and right now, inventory is at an all-time high in those 2 categories: apartments and row housing.
Yeah. And what did I see? I looked the other day because I was again running stats for my client and just trying to see. I think I saw it. So obviously our Krebs stats go month over month, and they reviewed a month prior. So we have all of April stats and all of March stats. So I think, and don't quote me on this, but it's close. So from March to April, We saw more sales in April, as you would expect, as we move through this closer and into the spring market. But the difference in sales was only like 300 sales more from in April than you saw in March. But in terms of supply, the difference was like 600 units more.
So supply is outpacing.
Which is why we're in balanced conditions. Now, I would be curious to see, and I anticipate a lot of that, like where that demand is showing up, and it's probably in apartments and townhomes. I would imagine the majority of it. I didn't look that far, but I mean that just speaks to this. You're getting one experience, and then it makes a detached home, right? Like and the systems, the processes, the marketing is done well. Of course, it's going to sell it because that product still moves. They always still move. But then there's some instances when honestly, I can say this is my process. This is what we follow. This is what we do. But it's not. You can't sell a house if nobody wants to buy it.
Yeah.
If there's no buyers in the market, so I think it's just like in that scenario, stay the course.
But it's interesting. You said that there's 300 more sales, but 600 more
ish
new listings. So if that continues, that pace continues, we will be in a buyer's market eventually.
Yeah.
Which is the process.
There's pockets of the city that we already are.
Yeah.
Honestly, like that's
Cornerstone.
Well, I think that's the truth about like a balanced market anyway. It means that some places are a seller's market and some places are a buyer's market.
Yeah.
It's not actually just, all of Calgary is balanced right now.
That's true. That's very true. And it's community based and product based.
Yep.
Depending on what category you're in.
I'll pull those stats real quick. I'll show you. You guys keep talking, but I'll pull it. I can't multitask.
Just like heading into the experience I had, like I've been running into multiple offers still. Like that's just an example.
Quite a few of our agents are.
Yeah.
You know what is actually moving? The luxury market in Calgary is doing phenomenal. $1 million plus, doing great. The $2 million range.
I've almost never seen that as long as I've been doing this. That's like your best bet. If you have over $1 million, you have a good chance that it's going to go fast.
Yeah, things are moving. You got to be obviously priced right. But for instance, pre-sales on multi-million-dollar properties, one of our agents has done 3 of them in the last 3 or 4 months. Yeah. $2.5 million or more.
Yeah.
And it's dirt.
I know that
based on renderings.
Yeah.
So it's like that segment of the market is still doing well because 1, there's not as much of the product, and 2, it's real estate is still we're doing great place to park money.
We're doing more and more apartments and row houses, like all these new communities. It's just cram as much in as possible.
Wild,
right? I think we're oversupplied. I think it was a knee-jerk reaction to the last 4 years.
That's exactly it. Yeah, man. And even this blanket rezoning.
Too much product.
Same thing. Yeah.
And there's still more product coming.
They're not even completed.
Final stages of being completed. A lot of purpose-built rentals. The rental market in Calgary is, prices have come down. Since 2021 or so, we were leading the country in rental increases. Yeah. And now we're leading the country with rental decreases.
Oh, yeah. And just on my block where I live, there are 5 of them, and there are at least 6 units on each lot, and there's 5 of them. So, and only one of them is complete. 2 of them are complete. The other 3 are not. I mean, that's a whole separate thing. Because then it's an infrastructure thing. Where do people park? It's like this whole, and it was, I agree, knee-jerk reaction to the housing shortage we were having in 22, 23, 24.
Yep.
And people are, that's why they're trying to appeal it, turn it around, because these communities, they're becoming, and they're all rentals now. People used to build them to sell them.
Yeah, now they're purpose-built rentals.
Yeah.
And not only purpose-built rentals, they've got the CMHC MLI Select program, which some people are upside down on.
Yeah.
They're struggling because there's a specific financial model that they've lent on, and you need to rent it at a specific price.
Yeah.
Well, guess what?
The market
is not supporting that.
Yeah.
So some of these guys are thinking twice.
Yeah. Okay. So just on these stats, let's go back real quick. So in March, this would have been, these always look, okay. So March 2026, that month we saw 1,881 sales. And then subsequently in April, we saw 2,104. So not quite 300 different, but that's where that number is, right? And then new listings. So in March, we saw 3,409 new listings hit the market. In April, we saw 3,829.
Oh, wow.
So there is a bigger increase in new listings than there was in people who were buying.
Year to year, they're both down though.
Year to year, they're both down about 5%. And then month of supply now is about 2.84 months. So can we just talk about that? Because that's a big one. Because there's always, people will say, oh, we're in a buyer's market now, it's over 2. And then other people will be like, it's between 2 and 3 or 2 and 4. I've even heard for sellers, buyers, and balanced markets. So what do you guys think? What numbers, what metrics, how do you measure it?
For me, I would say it's not really a buyer's market fully.
Yeah.
Because you got pockets. Some neighborhoods, obviously, they're going to have more listings than others. Yeah. But I would generally say my guideline personally is 6 months of inventory.
That's when you're in a serious
months of
buyer's.
supply?
Oh, wow.
That's when you're in a serious buyer's market.
6 months.
6, because I guess maybe buyers, but like 3 is usually a pretty good threshold. But like,
I think 3 is balanced.
The truth is, I try not to linger on the number because, like, I'll do a CMA based on active, sold, whatever. Then I'll just see how many actives are actually just in the whole community, not 2-story, not bungalow, just all of it.
Yeah.
Then I can kind of see, okay, there's actually a lot happening in here. Check the solds, actually look individually at the houses. What are the days on market? Why do I think each one of these is having this? Because the other problem with this, even when we're talking about pockets, is I'll see it where there's a house that's up for 365 days and another one that's up for 2.
Yeah.
It seems pretty unfair to just be like, oh, it's in the middle somewhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So, but yeah, 3 is usually still my number if I'm picking a number for balanced. So then anything above that, like 3.5-ish, you're probably on buyer in my mind. 6 would be, well, it's because when was that? Was that 2019?
I don't remember.
I don't know. But yeah, there was a point there where I was like, yeah, this thing's going to be up forever. This is how it is.
I remember COVID, man, that first lockdown. It was like, I remember I looked, it was 9 months or something.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
That's a buyer.
Like in that, whatever, March to June first lockdown.
Yeah.
I remember looking. It was.
And we went down to less than a month pretty quick.
Yeah. I mean, if you went back 2 years ago, I think we were easily under 1 month.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That was.
Which is, it's not a fun market for anyone. Not for a seller, not for a buyer, not for agents.
That's the misconception, hey? Like everybody wants that market, but it's not all it's made out to be. Like if you're just like, okay, you had an investment for a while, you're ready to cash out. Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
But for most people, either you're buying or you're selling and you're buying. And so, you'll make a load on your house, but if you're buying up, which most people are, you're shopping in the same market.
And if you're buying, if you're downsizing, you're getting less bang for your buck.
Yeah.
It's just it balances itself out. But going through that ordeal, it's not fun when you got a client that's ready to go to buy, but you have nothing to show them.
Yeah.
You show them one property a week. That was a bad month.
Be on standby. Like it would be like in the middle of this, I'd be like, oh, I got to go show this house because it's going to sell. But also, even if you're offloading investments, odds are there's tenants in there. So now that's a whole other thing.
But
are you keeping tenants? Are you getting rid of tenants? Are you giving them the proper timelines? What's the contract with that tenant? So there's a whole other, can of worms. And getting showings when tenants are in houses, because truth is tenants aren't incentivized to let people see the house.
Yeah.
Right. I'm sure we've all experienced that where it's way harder to get showings when there's tenants there.
Absolutely. And the other thing too is when coming to tenancy, it's a lot of people, general public and agents, don't know actual tenancy rules and how it works.
Oh yeah.
Especially if it's on a month to month. So if it's on a fixed lease, when the lease is up,
very clear.
If you don't renew, they got to leave. But when it's on a month to month, you have to give 90-day notice. And it's not 90-day notice from whenever you feel like it.
Yeah.
Or when you decide to sell. It's actually 3 full calendar months.
Yeah.
So if that notice period doesn't land on the first of the month, guess what? You can't count the rest of that month.
Yeah.
Well,
so it has to be 3 full months.
Isn't this on a firm
Yeah, I was
going to
say.
It has
and
to
there's only four scenarios where you can actually give notice to a tenant that's on a month to month.
Yeah.
One, it's the obvious one, breach of contract. If they've done extensive damage or not paying rent,
yeah,
you can give a 14-day notice and then go through the steps in the process. 2 is if you or a family member wants to move in, then you can give that notice. 3 is if you're selling the property, but only if it's a firm deal. So not when you decide to sell, not when you put the listing up for sale. It's when it's a firm sale. So there's a whole ordeal in between where you've got to manage the tenants' expectations, buyers, your sellers, and all of it's got to marry together. You got to coordinate all these things. And sometimes it doesn't. A lot of times, tenant is upset. each side has its pros and cons, but tenants like, I don't want to show the property because you're going to go and sell it and I'm going to be out of a place. And
just to confirm, though, let's say that I had a condition date on the 2nd of a month and I waived and now it's a firm deal on the 2nd. That month does not count.
Does not count.
Nope.
So you have to count three months.
I knew that.
And there's one more scenario.
You're welcome.
Chris is trying to drive a point home.
Welcome, audience.
He wasn't asking.
There's a fourth scenario, guys, that a lot of people don't know. The fourth reason would be if you're doing a major renovation, remodeling, or demolition, then it's actually a 1 year notice. 365 days. It's not 90 days.
I hate being in a house when it's being demolished.
You've gone through that, haven't you?
No, I did. I was renting and they gave us our 90 days when they listed it. So I had already known it had to be a firm sale, but we were kind of all ready to be on our way out anyway. So like this you
didn't fight it.
This is where knowing the tenancy stuff comes in handy. If we needed to stay, then it would have been like, oh, actually you need to do this. But we were all like already looking for places.
That's the thing. So all this I just said, because you just remind me something, as if you can circumvent all this if it's mutually agreed upon.
Yes.
So if the landlord and tenant sign an agreement saying, hey, we'll be out by this day and we agree and sign paper, it can circumvent all of that stuff. But if you don't play by the rules, you don't know the Tenancy Act or the rules and how notices are supposed to be given, when they're supposed to be given, and what circumstance can allow you to give these notices, guess what happens? One, you may get a tenant like Chris who's like, we're already on the way. I'm not fighting it. Two, you may get a tenant that says, okay, fine, I'm in agreement. And a couple months down the road, they talk to somebody that knows the tenancy rules. Guess what? Your notices, your agreement is void. It doesn't count because tenancy law trumps everything else. The government, the state don't want people out on the streets, rightfully so. You got to follow this process. So if you're not educated, you got to get educated. Otherwise, you can find yourself where you've got all this process and a sale potentially or whatever it may be, and all of a sudden you find out in the last coming days that hey, it didn't count, you got to start fresh, can change everything.
Yeah. And just to go on the whole listing a house when you own it compared to when tenants are in it, so when I've worked with clients and they own the home, it's very easy to be like, look, you need to be out of the house, it needs to be clean, it needs to be all that kind of stuff. When we were the tenants and they had showings coming through, and this was right after COVID. So a lot of people were still working from home. I was the only one there was 4 of us living there. I was the only one that would leave the house for the showings because everyone else was like, I'm not going to leave. I don't care. And they'd be annoyed. They'd be like, they left all the lights on. They did this, they did that. They came into my office.
You had a soft spot for the industry.
Yeah. Cause I was like, dude, this sucks when this happens. Yeah. So, and these are people that now have like gone and bought houses and understand the process. But when you're a tenant, there's no incentive. Like you don't care. Like, and why would you really? Mm-hmm. Especially if you are working from home. It's like, what, I'm going to just take an hour break and work an hour later for this person to come poke around in my stuff. And you're not cleaning extra or anything. Like, oh God, I hope they get a good price.
And unfortunately, there are tenants that will sabotage the whole process out there.
Oh yeah.
I just was this Saturday, I popped into this new listing that I'm going to have coming up as tenants. I'm like, is this staged? Like they are.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm like, this is, it's like, yeah, we knew we was going to do showings. We cleaned it up, decluttered. I was like,
wow, that's amazing. But how often
that's a good person.
Very
that's
rare.
That's good people. Until they get jaded by the whole process.
Well, there's 2 things. I know. There's some people that just still want an image about themselves. Like, oh, people are going to be going through. Like, I don't want them to think I'm a slob, even though they don't know you and they won't see you. But they're like, I want people to know that I'm clean. And I forgot my other one. So there's that.
The exact opposite. They just don't care.
Or there's the people that's number one, they're upset.
Oh yeah.
They don't care.
I remember.
And they want to deter people because they don't want to leave. They don't want to move.
How many times have you had it where somebody's talking about a tenant? They're like, they're going to be amazing. They've been so good throughout the whole process. The second showing start, they're a different
total
person.
turn. Yeah,
different person, 100%. Right? So
it's an inconvenience.
That was my second one.
Here's a fun one. I had one. You helped me with this one last year. I was representing the seller. Mm-hmm. And the buyer was also the tenant. And they were related. Do you remember this one?
Oh, yeah.
That's spicy.
That one was, and so you're like, okay, you can't do showings because the seller or the tenant might not want to let him in who's also trying to buy the property. And you're like, okay.
Wow.
And so obviously,
it's in his interest not to allow showings.
Oh, yeah, big time. on several levels.
Yeah, you're not going to open the door, welcome competition.
And the thing is, like, when we wrote, when we put it on the market, the the person, they ended up buying it, ended up going through, but the person buying it was not going to be the buyer. Like we were going to follow the traditional, put it on the market, let people look at it, and then you bring a buyer. They were agreeable, and to your guys' point, then all of a sudden, you know, circumstances changed. They want to write it was.
That's messy. That's crazy.
It was.
But you see through to the end of it. It was driving you nuts, but you got her done.
Yeah. Yeah, I did not want to. A couple times I was like, I'm done. Like, I don't even care.
I had to be Dr. Phil a few occasions.
It was so crazy, man. I can't even, like, every now and then.
I can feel the passion still.
Yeah. So the moral of the story, get educated, understand it.
Yeah.
And for the record, Chris knew.
I knew.
It was 90 days at front.
I just forgot what I was going to say, but
Chris
I knew.
Well, the reason why I know so much about it is I've been through the trenches, but we do property management here at Bravo. And this is something that we have to face every day.
They're going to put an icon above where I pointed.
Okay.
Property management on Instagram.
And you know what? Some of those stats, Sean, if you mind sending that to the marketing team so they can put up some of those stats you shared today, that'll be nice.
For the record, there's no one behind the camera.
What do you mean? He's here.
Do you want to do this?
Johnny's standing right there. You don't see him?
Or is it producer Sarah? Yeah, I don't know.
Let's call him producer Johnny. All right. Well, you know what? I think it's time we pull out a conversation card.
Let's do it.
The other day we picked a bunch and we kind of answered. I'm just going to pick one today and we're all going to answer the same one.
Yes, I like that format. I was going to say.
Kind of forces you to think something. All right. So conversation cards from Diary of a CEO from Stephen Bartlett.
He said it forces you to think something.
Pretty interesting for us. All right, guys, you here? You ready?
Yeah.
Was there a moment in your career where you said to yourself, I've made it?
Ah, man.
I think it's relative.
Specific moment.
And I'll
definitely relative.
Yeah.
You guys want me to go?
Go. Yes.
If you're ready, yeah.
You know, it's all about perspective. People looking from the outside in, they'll think one thing. You looking from the inside out, you're going to think something else. For me, I've never made it because if I the moment I accept that, hey, I think I've made it, guess what happens? My drive and ambition disappears. So I'll never make it as far as I can. I'm going to keep working. I'm going to keep doing my thing because there's always another bar. There's always another level.
Well, hey, if you ever need help to make it, just give me a call. I'm happy to help.
I feel like I'm sitting there with Patrick Bet-David right now.
You're my guy.
That's that talk you're talking about, right?
Oh,
that's
for
the capacity, potential.
And here's the thing. If you feel, and that's the PVD podcast, and you know what? The guy's got great advice.
That was so good.
If there's a moment in your life or career you feel like you've made it, well, guess what? You're not competing at the right level. You gotta.
What does he
up
say?
your game.
You gotta be willing to suck at the next level, right?
Yeah. Go to the next level and start from the bottom.
Yeah.
So I would say I've made it. So
all right, it's time to compete, baby.
That's it. We're done here.
No, maybe not. Like I would agree with what you're saying, where it's like, but where I think I've got a little perspective on how far I've come.
Yes.
Was like I've had it a few times too, where I will have agents where I'm sitting just talking through my process and how I do things. And they'll say to me that it's like, you know, like, oh, like I want to meet with you X amount of times because like I want to learn to either talk like this or understand the market this certain way, where it's like, I remember feeling very helpless and all of that. And there's still a lot that I feel like I can learn because I have people I look up to in that way. But I guess getting a little bit of perspective that there are people who are as new as I was once that I can help guide through some of that stuff. So it's an ongoing moving needle, but like maybe it's helping to recognize that you've jumped into the next level, you know?
You know, it's important to reflect and celebrate the wins. Like, because if you don't know where you came from or where you started, you can't, how do you measure?
Well, and like comparative market analysis is a huge one because you taught me how to do those.
Yeah.
And now I do enough of them that it's like, it's kind of like a second nature eventually, you know, it's like practicing anything. And so now when I'm sharing what I've learned from you and passing on to the next person, then you hope they can kind of pass it on to the next person. And I guess that kind of like CMA like made it on that one where somebody respects and appreciates what I'm telling them, you know, but there's still a lot, like when we're talking about tenancy laws, that's not something that I feel like I know a lot about. So then maybe there's a new area or a new avenue for me to explore to make it in that section.
Basically, you haven't made it because you can always explore and learn something new.
Which was actually reminded me, I was going to talk to you about something earlier when you were talking about pillars and everything like that, right? I think it was a Sean Monahan stat specifically, where if you look at the points that he was getting every season, they were pretty similar. But if you looked at the face-off percentage that he won, it improved drastically year to year.
Yeah.
So it was kind of that moment of like, okay, maybe I've gotten really good at this one thing. That doesn't mean there's not something else I can
100%.
improve on this and this and this, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and then it's like I said, I mean, it's all relative for me. So I would say simultaneously, yes, I've made it, but no, I've never made it either.
Yeah.
And I think it just encompasses what you both are saying. Like, to your point, there's always going to be another level. What I'm actually learning in my own life right now is being content in where I am, because it's so easy for me to be forward looking. Mm-hmm. And say, okay, when I get here or when I get there and I want to achieve this and what's the next level to this. And I think that's a good thing. That's how you keep growing, you keep progressing.
That's a slippery slope for me.
Yeah.
Because it's important to be content, which leads to being grateful for where you are. But too content leads to complacency. And that is one of my fears.
Yeah.
I never want to be complacent in anything I do.
Same. Yeah. And so it's always a balancing point. And if I'm honest, I would rather teeter more on the side of looking ahead than I would on being not content, but erring on the side of complacency. But I think that's part of that is nature. I just don't think that that's something that I could do personally. And then on the same note to what you're saying, I look back and not necessarily work, but I was talking to our oldest kid, because our oldest kid is now an adult and learning the ropes about finances, everything that includes. And I'm like, man, I remember being there. And you think you know, but you don't know. And some of the things that I could just, solely because I've fallen on my face and I've lived here and I've lived it. And same in work, right? To be able to, I look back and it's just a moment of like, wow, yeah, we have come a long way. So yeah, I think I've made it in some senses for sure, but in other senses, not even close. So I think it's
well, like I remember it would have been almost 5 years ago around this time, you made me write out goals that I had for me 5 years from now. I actually was looking at it the other day.
No way. I'd love to see that.
All but one
put it on screen.
All but one was done.
Wow.
But when I looked at it, like it just made me think, okay, like now I need to get a new list.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that kind of ties into that, where it's like,
let's do that one together.
Yeah. Because it's not like, okay, good. I said I completed my 5-year goals. Like I can, sail off into the sunset.
Yeah. No,
it's like, no, I
just got another set of 5 goals.
Because like one of them on there was to get a house. Right. So I did that. But like, I remember right after I got my house, my next thought was like, how do I either turn this one into an investment property or get an investment property? It's like, it's not just like, oh, mission complete. Like, done. It's like, what's your next thing?
Next level, baby. Next level. Going back to that, when you bought a house, I felt like I was very pushy at that time. I was trying to, you got to buy a house.
I wish I listened to you earlier. You told me that, you were telling me that for like a year and a half, and the market was, I bought in the hot seller's market.
You did. Because if you had done it earlier, you would have got it at the sweet price.
100%.
But you know what? Nobody knows. You can't time the market.
Hindsight's 2020, man.
That makes me honestly feel a little bit better that even as a realtor, I got to experience the human emotion side of it. Because it's true, when it's a buyer's market, it's so easy to just like kick your feet up, like, I'll get a house when I get a house. But then all of a sudden it turned on me and it was not a buyer's market.
Yeah.
And I actually was writing more offers because I was like, I don't want these other people to win.
And in the end, you remember what happened, right?
Yeah.
He settled for a house that I was like, okay, this is good, but I'm not feeling it. But he settled because he was just tired of writing offers and losing.
I lost like 4 before I got my house. It was nuts. Yeah. And it is when you're a human in that market actually buying a house, when you're offering somebody like $40,000 more than they're asking and you lose, that's deflating. It's like, what more do you like?
Yeah.
Mentally messed Chris up for a while.
Haven't bought a house since.
Well, thanks, guys. Hopefully that was some good insight and maybe some takeaways from our experiences. And we're looking forward to see you on the next one.
Just say your tongue is legal.